It's their series really to lose, but can they get the job done? Can they get the 4-0 they want?
Let's find out. We head over to Manfield. It is best of 7, and we are going to see what Limitless can bring to the table. G2 away. And now that we've got all the problems sorted, we are ready to go, Johnny.
Can Limitless keep up that kind of hope that we've got for Sub-Saharan Africa? This being a long tournament, a wildcard over many days, they just have to try and get something on the board here. Even if they can't get a game, they've got to give G2 a tough time, make them work for it. Alrighty, one shot goes the way of the Limitless goal, and another one leads to Chicago having an easy shot on it, but he actually has dropped that one straight down on the ground. Maybe not an easy shot to score there, but definitely an uncontested play. Limitless do not want to give G2 too many of those.
An opportunity as well for North America to start off 2-0 for the event so far. Oh, what a pass, and to die for, had to be aware of it, knew that there were some passing options available. Instead went for the shot, now off the backboard. What a save yet again, to die for this time, keeping it away. Now off the clear, that was blocked, and it is removed by Darth. Limitless up against it to start, but they have held off.
I think the shooting from G2 could have been better there. That's something that they will not be too happy with. It's been, I think, one of their recurring problems all season now. Big chance for To Die For. How open's the net? No, not quite. I think JNAP's probably had the whole goal covered there. To Die For went for the far post, and the demos off the ball really putting pressure on G2.
It's one of those things, though, that you can try a couple of times, and then G2 will be aware of it.
There it is, the dodge.
Might be the one big chance that they had to get that one to work. Now they're going to have to maybe vary it a little bit more, bring that back in a couple of minutes. JNAPS doesn't even want to give them a chance in a couple of minutes. He just wants it to be all G2. So far, 90 seconds played, no goals scored, and now we've got Darth passing the ball long. Then we've got the half clear. JNAPS actually finds Chicago off into the backboard. Good transition play from both squads.
And that's not the clear angle To Die For once. He was a bit of trouble there. Now, Limitless are in all sorts of trouble, with G2 lacking the follow-up. Still the better first 2 minutes go to the NA side, which you would expect. They have got another good chance to score, but it's denied by Snowy. That's a great save, and actually a slow recovery coming through for G2. Snowy dusted by Atomic, though. Great play by the third man.
Tell you what, the timing of these backboard saves from Limitless, because G2 are not playing this first opportunity they get. They have delayed it a few times.
Yeah.
And Limitless don't go early, which is incredibly impressive. They have not got twitchy. Instead, Atomic plays it to his own back. He's got Chicago to aim for. Chicago looks backboard. To Die For actually has put himself in a bad spot, but did recover it. Don't typically want to be meeting those by going up to the air, and Snowy's got in the way of his teammate, but it has worked.
It's absolute genius. The double commit that works out well, but now it's G2 the other way. Atomic with a reset, wants to pass it into the middle. Chicago's there, but again, the shot is not good enough for G2.
Half of the challenge, and now we're into the kind of territory where you think, well, this can go either way, really. Limitless have been the team on the defense. That cannot be argued. It is going to be G2. They had to get a goal soon. I was getting a little bit nervy there, but they have finally found the goal that their offense has deserved.
Yeah, it's been coming. The flip reset pass from Atomic got away from Snowy, who was boostless, To Die For, who was momentumless, and now Limitless, who are scoreless. Or G2 go up by 1.
We have JNAPS moving over, covering the ball that time around. Darth jumps early again. Darth has maybe been a little bit too happy to jump and try and find the pace for a pre-jump, and might catch him out later on. JNAPS over the top of 2. To Die For has it covered. Limitless looking for their second chance. For the time being, it has just been a little bit of a showcase of how good they are at defense. I will say I am impressed. I will also say we want to see some other parts of the field.
Yeah, they are not yet creating all that many chances. They had that one flurry with 2 demos, or I think 1 demo and then another pressure play. It did create 1 chance for To Die For, but outside of that, it has been all G2. That's something G2 are able to do when they're at their best to pretty much anyone. And certainly when they were one of the teams contending for top spots, good save by To Die For. Maybe the accuracy lacking there for Atomic, though. But yeah, G2 at their peak were this kind of team. And they're just not the kind of team that these lower ranked teams want to be playing against.
There's a few teams out there that let you play. G2,
Yeah.
when they are on form, they don't let you do anything. It becomes the G2 show. 1 player gone, 2 players left to recover. Now Chicago, that first touch kind of let him down, really. It made it far too easy for Snowy to play afterwards, who is on 0 boost. Hasn't got any options. Chicago had already found the demo on his way back. That's something that G2 have probably done stronger than most teams I've ever watched, Johnny. I absolutely love it, is on that rotation back, finding the person that's in the mid for the opposing side of the field, because they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
The ball's in front of them, you're behind them, get rid of them.
You know, it's just been a game of saves for Limitless. They're only down 1-0, but it's felt pretty helpless. Can they get something going in the closing second? It's to die for. Into the middle. JNAPS has it covered comfortably. Well played, G2 again. But for 16 shots on target, they've only scored once. So they really had to work for this one. Maybe a little bit of inaccuracy from G2 at times, but also some impressive reactive defense coming out of the Sub-Saharan Africans.
Yeah, you're not going to get it for free over against Limitless. You are going to have to work for it, and you are going to have to find the top corners, because if not, well, we've already seen that the saves are available, and a lot of them coming from To Die For. 7 to his name coming out of that game. And G2 will feel like they should have scored more. Limitless will feel like they want to defend less.
I mean, that's a quick illustration of why you don't always want to use points per game to rank your players. To Die For puts up
farming
600-point game. Saves do give more points than shots, so it can be a bit of a misleading statistic, although sometimes useful to use. Yeah, just a comfortable midfield game for G2. They never really looked too vulnerable. There was that one big chance for Limitless, and even that wasn't really too scary. G2 had plenty of players back, so even when demos are landing, there's more players left in position to deal with the pressure. So a quick reminder as well, this is best of 7, and both teams do have access to a timeout. Limitless will want something better this time around. As strong as this team is, we are comparing them against Valiant, and Valiant were scoring goals against a Complexity squad that do not make it too easy. I will say, though, it feels like G2 are maybe respecting their opponents more than Complexity were. They are military with the way they are playing this. I'll also say, you know, Complexity were a bit more ruthless with their finishing, a lot more consistent with their shooting. That's a good shot on target by Chicago, but with Limitless defending as well as they did in Game 1, I would be surprised if they did not respect him to have that double on target. To Die For. Over to the wall. Seeing how he can do in defense. Fortunately for them, every single time that they do try to transition to the opposite side of the field, it doesn't work, and now off the miss, and it's actually worked out brilliantly for G2. Offered a bit of breathing room to Limitless, and then punished them when they decided to breathe out. Yeah, Snowy got very, very excited there. He suddenly spotted an open bottom corner, went for it, but Atomic was able to cut that angle off, and with his save, start a counter-attack, which puts G2 one goal up again. A lot earlier in the game. Only 3 shots this time before they got their goal. First time Snowy's really had a chance to try and flex some mechanical muscle. Wanted the bump. Found out that you can't bump 2 cars. To Die For this time. Heavy with the first touch. G2 ready for the individual plays. Very quick to meet them after the first touch. Now Chicago, you can see where Atomic is. Tries to get it looped around. Turns around from JNAPS. And as always, G2 very nonchalant. They're happy for the long clears to come their way. And the reason is that Limitless aren't catching those long clears all that well. So when it's bouncing, it becomes very easy to control. Yeah, you know, this is something we saw in the Valiant Complexity series as well. You know, I think Valiant had a game plan going into Game 1. It maybe went out the window a bit after Complexity started to get rolling. Limitless have to stick to their game plan as well. You know, they're down by 1. That doesn't mean that it's not playable defensively, if that's what their plan was coming in, but there's a little bit more a crossbar from G2. And another one in case you missed it last time. Can JNAPS hit the target? Yes, he can. It's 2-0. Starting to dial in here, our G2. Over the top, To Die For, wanting to give it a go. I mean, I don't blame where To Die For went, because a lot of those shots have been going straight down the middle, but finally, G2 are finding the angles and they're getting it away from the goalkeepers. Now Chicago off the backboard. Snowy, good touch from him. That's difficult to forget on the rotation back. And another one, so G2 frustrated here after Snowy's defense, but he is now out of boost. Maybe not the best touch, actually, from To Die For. Chicago lines it up.
Back out, JNaps pops it over one, slow plays, the dive ball just managed to ward him off.
Yeah, JNaps was maybe trying to shoot that on a pogo bounce, but it wasn't quite there for him. Not a lot of momentum on the play, which does make bouncing into the air quite difficult. Limitless yet to score a goal. I think they've had more impressive defense than their sub-Saharan African counterparts Valiant, but less bite in attack. They don't have the same commitment to the attack I think the Valiant had. Atomic doesn't need to redirect this. Chicago shot's already in. Limitless letting another one.
I think what you're getting here is the reason why I do harp on leaving somebody downfield so often. Limitless are so intent on bringing everyone back, get to the back post, get somebody in goal, get somebody backboard as quickly as they possibly can, that by the time they actually do get a chance on the ball, where's it supposed to go? My options now are trying to solo play, G2 go and meet it, or I try and long clear it, at which point there's just not been the power on the long clears from Limitless. It's easy for G2 to control afterwards. If you leave someone downfield, there's the threat there, and that is a little bit of a calamity, Limitless.
Oh, that's a replay they're going to wish was skippable, but the observer's going to help us watch it one more time. Darth just didn't know both of his teammates were about to miss this one. He wasn't prepared to make the save. At least they got that one out of their system and it was already 3-0. That would have been a howler to let through in a close game.
So far, Valiant managed to bring the hopes up. Limitless, it's just not quite happening for them here. And G2 are playing a lot more loose, as you can see from the way that they are trying to go about getting their 5th goal. Still scoreless right now for Limitless. They do not want to add themselves to the list of perfect sweeps. There have been 5, I believe, maybe 4. Either way, you don't want to add yourself to that.
Yeah, I know they're coming in thinking that they can get a game. You know, did Limitless perhaps have just a little bit too much hope? And, you know, it's always good to be confident, but I think I've seen plenty of teams, especially in wildcard matchups, where it's a bit of a question mark how it's going to go. Obviously, we knew G2 were going to be heavily favorites here, but did Limitless come into this thinking, right, let's just catch G2 flat, let's get a game against these guys. They can't even make the Boston Major. I think we've got a chance here, and suddenly get a reality check when they realize, okay, if the gap closed, it didn't close that much throughout this whole season. G2 are still very good at Rocket League, and they're going to make it 6. 5. Chicago making sure with the tight angle shot. You know, if Limitless are going to call a timeout here, this is what G2 need to do. Just run up the score as much as possible, demoralize your opponents. They're starting to look a little bit frustrated with themselves. You can't allow this to happen, Limitless. You need to stay positive. You've got to keep the focus, because coming into this, I think getting one game would be considered a decent result, maybe even a good result. And they've still got at least 2 more chances at doing that.
From a G2 point of view, though, this is everything they would have wanted, especially if you're a fan. Maybe you got a bit worried when the last game was only 1-0, but this is the sort of performance where if you want to go and grab yourself a World Championship, this is the way that you get started on that sort of event. You already see the pre-jumps coming through.
Yeah, it's been comfortable for G2. Nice start for them against a team they're supposed to beat. But like we said at the start of this matchup.
Oh, so unfortunate.
That is unlucky. Snowy landed on Darth as they're trying to get the first goal of the series for themselves. You know, G2, they do this in the past. Whenever they've matched up against an APAC team in round 1 of an international RLCS LAN, they've handled it pretty easily at the end of the day. They've yet to lose a game. So G2's doing what G2 does. I think the real questions for them will come later in Swiss, but can Limitless get something here? I'm curious to whether they'll call a timeout or not. You know, I think it would probably make sense to do that, but they might decide to save it for the absolute last breath.
The way things going at the moment, G2 walking their way to a 1-0 in the Swiss stage. They really want to secure that 4-0 as well, especially given that there have already been games dropped. There is now incentive to try and grab hold of a team that, you know, has only one, I say only one, 4-1. We could potentially see 4-2s, 4-3s. And we'll see later on who goes and grabs those score lines. But for G2, this is the perfect start. I mean, we talked about how close this organization and these players have been to World Championships, but we didn't quite mention the one that really got away from them, the Season 9, where things got cancelled, and there were 2 teams that everyone was talking about. Over in Europe, it was Dignitas, and over in North America, it was G2. is an org that feels like they are owed something at this point.
Yeah, that's I think a tournament that Rizzo likes to remind me of all the time. The one that he would, you know, the one that they would have won. Oh, Darth has missed a relatively routine overhead here, and it's not even that far overhead. G2 lob a slow shot on target is Atomic. Darth just jumped with a bit too much momentum. He had a tiny bit of boost there. Panics in defense. Something Limitless can't afford against a team like G2.
Be remiss as well if I do not mention that Rizzo and Athena have got their own show throughout this event. Interviews with all of the players. A little bit more of a candid look behind the players that you don't necessarily get when the lights are on them over here, as G2 starting off with that 1-goal lead to die for, looking to try and give them their first goal. This is a good opportunity. Snowy back down. Was the ceiling, but maybe one of the first looks that Limitless have had in quite a while. And even then, oh, they really don't want to give this up. They're zero boost, they're half rotating. They know that the last real chance that they had on net was all the way back in the opening swings of game number 1.
Yeah, no, I do want to see a little bit more of that midfield fight now from Limitless. Like we saw from Valiant, you know, it's fair enough to start off the game with defensive ideas. Just see, will you be getting any freebies in this series? Will Complexities and G2s and teams of that level play with a very risky strategies, triple committing to every attack? Well, they've had 2 games now to figure out that no, G2 are not going to overextend again and again and again. So sitting back and waiting for them to do so, probably a foolish strategy. Now they are going to start advancing that defensive line into a more upfield position. It's a great pass by to die for. Chicago watching it the entire way though. Had Snowy shot easily covered.
Do you feel like it's a fair statement at this point to say G2 are, despite the amount of shots that they're getting on target, they are prioritizing, oh my goodness, they're prioritizing the 0, they're prioritizing the clean sheet.
Yeah.
Defensively, they refuse to go unless somebody is back.
Yeah, they have not looked anywhere near as risky as I expected from them. And you know, maybe that sign, perhaps a brief free jump set up there on 1-0, that might be a sign that G2 are getting excited about this. What a finish! Atomic sticks it in the top corner, but JNAP's pass caught everyone by surprise.
Just kissed the top of the ceiling. You cannot hit it any crisper. Am I talking about JNAPs? Am I talking about Atomic? I'm talking about both of them. That was brilliant.
Yeah, why not both? G2 0 Limitless now, and still no goals in 3 games now for Limitless. They've got 3 minutes in this third one to try and change that fact. They're lacking that offensive creativity. They're lacking the commitment to the attack as well that Valiant impressed us with as G2 get a third. And again, it's just gotten away from Limitless early. To die for wanted to 50 that safely. It just went straight to Atomic. G2 pounced all over it, made it, again, quite an easy goal.
I've just been scanning the G2 players' faces after these goals, and they're not... We saw Complexity were very happy with the way things go, and they were very relaxed, you know, leaning back. I mean, barely awake before the series actually got started. G2 have not changed. They seem to be locked in to the idea of perfect sweeping this series, and nothing will change until that game 4 is over. It's horrible if you're Limitless. It really is. You are given no quarter by a team of this caliber.
Yeah, it's a disciplined performance from G2, and that's something that their fans will have wanted to see. If they, you know, won a messy series here, then they would not be happy. You know, fans would be probably quite concerned going forward into the third round of the tournament. This is a clean performance from G2. They've had the passes, they've had the goals, and they've had the rotation to keep it all under control. 4-0. And it's just too simple. Snowy's got to get a bit faster into position there, not able to cover the pass. Realized too late. G2 punishing him.
It's everything they would have wanted. I'm sure all of the backroom staff, everybody that is supporting this squad, will be so happy with what they've seen. Limitless, I don't know, this is worse than they would have expected, and maybe this wouldn't have looked quite as bad if Valiant didn't have the performance they had moving in.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I think so. If Valiant just got completely destroyed by huge scorelines, then I think that just that 1-0 loss in game 1 would have made people think, oh, look at Limitless go, making it hard for G2 to score. But Valiant, I actually set a pretty high bar there against Complexity with respectable scorelines that Complexity, like we keep mentioning, have put up many times this season against their regional counterparts. yeah, Limitless have just lacked that commitment to the attack. They've not really had that same cohesion defensively that we saw in game 1 either.
That would have been probably the best opportunity we've seen in a while. Second one ricochets off the crossbar. And G2 control the ball, guide it away from their own side of the field. Limitless, their opportunities have been few and far between. Maybe another one here. A delay from Atomic, wanted the support back. There we go from the shot and double commit to keep it away. So Limitless looking to try and find this goal off the ceiling to dive for. He's gone for the pitch.
Oh!
Almost. Just a couple of frames mistimed. And he might have been able to rocket that top corner.
Nice cover there by JNaps, just frustrating Limitless further. They've actually shown us something at the end of this game, though. That was creative from to die for. That's the kind of play that they need to be making. It's why teams that are willing to take risks on LAN often succeed where others fail. Atomic escapes the attempted recovery demo and makes it 5-0. Another failed clear just gets sent right back to the backboard by Chicago.
And now the storyline turns to a bit of a horrible one here, Johnny. Just over 5 minutes away from a perfect sweep.
Yeah, and Limitless have not looked like they're competitive in these last 2 games at all.
Would we say 2 goal-scoring opportunities?
Oh, what a pass again.
Wow.
It's G2 who are just fully in the zone now. This is flow state for Chicago to Atomic, who's airborne a long time before that, long enough to think about where he's shooting. And what a pass by Chicago, 6-0 Limitless, just have absolutely nothing to say. It's got to be a timeout after this. It really just has to be if they're going to have any chance of getting a game.
It's either timeout or it's can we just get this over with?
I think it's got to be timeout. If they do not call a timeout here, then I just don't think they've come into this one with the right mentality. I think that would be a sign to me that they somehow overestimated their chances in this one, because obviously they're the underdogs. I expected that they would come in and know that, but you know, maybe we're getting a bit too advanced with the body language and the facial expression reads, but they just don't look like they're having a good time, Limitless. They look like they are just crushed mentally, and you have to enjoy yourself as an underdog team on LAN. They just look like they're far too upset about how this is going, even though the 3-0 scoreline in games is expected. I think maybe they just wanted to keep these games closer. Game 1 was fine from them. They made G2 work for it, but they've not adapted. They haven't communicated in defense. They just fell apart in game 2 and 3, and now they're like all the time. I've not heard anything.
You're going to hate it. They haven't.
Oh,
I've already got the shout through.
I mean, that's just, in my opinion, obviously, you know, they can know the full story. We don't know what they're talking about in the comms, but I would say that's just a complete misplay. Why are you not calling? Did they know they've got a timeout? They must know they've got a timeout. But yeah, they haven't.
We've only had one occasion, for those of you joining us for the RLCS, by the way, for the first time, we had one occasion actually this season where a coach forgot that they actually could, and then called for it too late.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That
was Guild, wasn't it?
Yeah, that does happen on occasion, but you know, like I said, I'm not an expert in facial expression analysis, but I don't think you have to be to tell that they are not having a good time right now. Now, you might be telling me, why would you enjoy getting 6-0 by G2 on LAN? Well, I'll tell you why. They've been waiting all year for this. This is an experience that they have to enjoy. They need to try and make the most of it, because it's not the end of their tournament. Even if they get 4-0'd here, they will go into the next round just like Pioneers did, and just like their counterparts, Valiant did. But the least they can do, I think, is give it their best shot, because G2 are playing very well.
I also am not an expert at face reading, but despite the fact that you were smiling there, Johnny, you were furious with that one. I feel rightly so.
I think if they've intentionally not called a timeout here, that's ridiculous. I don't know, why would you not? You need to, even if they have no plans of making any playstyle adjustments, you need to like cool G2 down. Just they're pre-jumping each other right now. They're feeling far too comfortable in the lobby. You don't even think about it. You just call a timeout there and then continue. But okay, if they just forgot, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, well, let's move on from that storyline to probably another storyline that Limitless don't want to talk about right now. Perfect sweep. 4 minutes away, potentially, for G2. All they have to do is not just maintain, but maybe grow upon what they have got. I'm very curious if this does end with another perfect match here. I feel like a lot of the perfect sweeps we've had have at least had close matches throughout it. This might be higher on the goal difference tally that we've seen. Limitless, it's up to them to try and turn that around. As we do see the early challenge. Oh, Atomic crushed them.
2-0 with authority. Atomic delayed his first play here before flipping into a massive dunk on the goal line. Fakes out one, takes out the other. And Limitless are just going to continue down that trail of sadness if things continue as they are.
Duff looking to put off the backboard. J-Naps reaches it early. A bit of an awkward recovery from him, but he's just went through the challenge. And now Snowy actually rotating ball side. He's in a bit of a weird spot, but actually, this is the one! It's bounced the worst way! Everyone from Limitless was on the right. The ball bounced to the left. No! Snowy's got it! Perfect sweep is in the bin!
Oh, and grins from G2 as well. They were going for the perfect sweep here. They are not happy with themselves, but what a shot by Snowy past Chicago. Limitless are on the board, and hey, it's still a one-goal game. They made it really difficult for G2 in game 1. Games 2 and 3 were not at all hard in the slightest. But can Limitless, now that they've got a goal, now that they've had something to celebrate about, change their tune and get their teeth in this series?
Snowy, he's up. This is already a little bit more than we've seen from Limitless to this point. Oh, that's such a bad challenge. And Chicago actually misread, I think. He called that. It would have been left.
He called the fake late, it looks like. So G2 were not quite quickly enough there to communicate the intended plan. Suddenly, some life from Limitless on the pitch. They've got some spring in their steps, some spring in their suspension. As they halt G2's advance briefly, but now it's 3. That last out play was not one Limitless saw coming.
Again, not body readers, but Snowy turning away with his head in his hand. Maybe it's not the best look that we've seen. A brief moment of hope from Limitless, just taken away due to esports. Right back in the driver's seat. 3 minutes left to play here in game number 4. And we have also now got our other match underway over on the A stream. So Power versus Oxygen. Very curious how that one is going to go down. For the time being, though, Limitless trying to add to the tally.
I'm liking the aggression in the final third here. They're trying something different, but it's not really working. G2, despite losing out on the perfect sweep, I think still are quite happy with themselves. They've shown up and done what they're supposed to do. And that's a really nice series for G2 to get actually out of the way with, because they've been a while out of the international land scene. It's been since the Winter Major now. So all that waiting finally over, and they're right back on top. Joining Complexity 4-0, unless Limitless can do what they didn't do for 3 games. That's score again. Now, they haven't scored at all in 3 games. Scored 1 here. G2 have had far too many chances. It's not looking reasonable to... I can't picture Limitless scoring twice. I just can't. I'm trying to imagine what those goals look like, and I just don't see them.
Atomic's control this series has been impeccable. Really has been the one causing the most damage. Most have been off the challenges more than anything else. His mechanics have been really good, but it's mostly the challenges.
Wait.
Well, don't need to imagine anymore. Visualize this one.
Okay, so the demo from Chicago actually gave G2 a 3-2 player advantage, but Darth just shoots straight through the middle, and no one in G2 expected an immediate shot. I think they were all expecting someone else to go. And Limitless are within 1 again. Fake kickoff there from Limitless, but nothing really comes off the back of it. In fact, it might just be a G2 goal. It is. Well, they tried something here, but I don't think they had a follow-up plan for when that one worked out. You're just not on the same page as the pass goes to no one. And G2 score again.
Yeah, Darth did not want to be jumping. He had to jump to avoid being demoed. Because of that, just was not able to reach the ball. So we re-established the 2-goal lead. Minute 22, and Limitless will now be thinking, well, we scored 2 in this game. We need to score another 2. As though, okay, if this works, and it's not going to, Snowy's not having any of it. Yeah, G2, now that the perfect sweep has gone away from them, playing very loose with the way their defense is.
Yeah, a minute for Limitless to work with. To die for, the only player yet to score. He'll want to change that before this series is over. Heavy hit from Snowy, goes center. J-Naps with a great read, but to die for was all over it. G2 keeping a keen eye on them. They're not going to be too chuffed about the 2 goals they conceded. Wait, it's a brief 3v1. Here comes Snowy. He's got an option in field. He tries to go for it, but Darth can't beat Atomic to the ball. The pass was not good enough. Now 2 demos land for G2. It's to die for with the solo play. Denied by Tommy.
But they're just trying to play that too clean. They had the opportunity just to run ahead with to die for and get the demo, and now there goes all chances and all hope. G2 have got a 3-goal lead, and they will be taking this series 4-0.
You know, between games 1 and 4, Limitless have got, I think, a lot that they can be quite happy with. They followed almost the same pattern as the Valiant series, where we saw in game 1 of the series, okay, maybe there's something here. They might be able to catch their opponents on a bad game. Unfortunately for G2 and Complexity, there were no bad games. They just played comfortably, start to finish, and did what they're supposed to do. But it took a while for Limitless to really get that fight in them and to start communicating and to create any kind of play that G2 can't handle. I think, you know, going on, they're going to need to obviously have a little discussion after today and think, okay, how can we make that happen before the series is completely over? 4-0 for the second time on the B stream here. Chicago puts his shoes back on. A little bit of a trivia there for you. Chicago likes to play with his shoes off. You can look out for him on the main stage if he makes it that far in this tournament, doing the exact same thing. Yeah, thank you to Darth for pointing out the winner of the series there, G2 Esports.
Makes sense as well, doesn't it? I mean, you're going to play at home. I think most people have their shoes off in their own homes. So you want to try and make yourself as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
And G2 were as comfortable as possible throughout that series. No perfect sweep for them. They might be a little bit disappointed, considering it did look like they were playing for it. They wanted it.
They were very disappointed when the first goal went in. But, you know, as far as the perfect sweep goes, it's really just for the stats. It's just for fun. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and G2 will have the best possible win percentage leaving day 1. They got some brilliant pre-jump passing plays to add to the highlight reel you're likely to see later. Limitless need to, I think, show up in a bit better mood for their next matches, because that was not it from the SSA 1 seed. Yeah, not the result that they wanted.
Well, when we come back, it will now be APAC's turn to take to the field. We will see what they can do.